Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those of you still on the fence, welcome back to another episode of Derailed, courtesy of Arcaicskidz. I'm, of course, your host, Arcaicskidz, and we have Shane Hazel. What's up, my brother?
What's up, dude? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, man. So we're going to jump right into it. You're running for governor. What made you decide to do it?
I mean, it was last March, man. I started kind of playing around with the idea of Brian Kemp, the piece of shit governor. I cuss on your show, right? I mean,
Yeah. It's called Derailed, man. It's all good.
Yeah. I've seen a few, and it's just like, yeah, man. Like most governors, even in a quote unquote red state, which we're not, we have blue dog Democrats who are in control that call themselves Republicans down here. Brian Kemp's no different. He came out late March, I think it was March 31st, and was just like, "Hey, fuckers, hey, this assembly shit, I'm the executive, and that's over." And literally, to quote the guy, he said something like, "Hey, if you see a group of 10 or more, tell them to disperse. And if they don't disperse, then you fucking call us," right? Now, he didn't say fucking call us, but he said call us, right? Like the implication of force and coercion where an executive through fiat can just go out there and destroy your right to assemble.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, guys, this isn't how this shit works. Like there's pandemics. I don't care if there is a nuclear holocaust. They don't get to tell you shit. It's like on the opposite end of the spectrum. I was thinking, when we're at our, at our most vulnerable, at humanity's door of extinction and everything else, that's when you take people and you say, "Hey, man, these are your rights. Go out there and exercise them and survive and help your fellow man." And that's not what this was about, man. So it was just one thing after another. And, as much as I was trying to derail what was going on, in the Senate race down here in Georgia to send it to a runoff, in the back of my mind the whole time, I was just seething at Brian Kemp, man. I mean, this is this is payback for an entire state. And so, boy, he's not going to like it. That's for sure.
Yeah. I watched that happen everywhere. I mean, all over the entire country. I think like South Dakota was the only one that was like, "Yeah, no, we're not locking shit down. Like, fuck off," Yeah. And that's not an endorsement of her, but of all of them, she handled it the best, I think.
I mean, if there's a terrible scale, right? Like she got the best of the terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, it was just crazy. Like, and I remember when they announced like the 15 days of forever, and I was like, "Oh, this is a fucking terrible idea." Like, it will not be 15 days. These people are psychotic. Like, and so I was screaming to the rafters about it, and people are like, "Well, it's only 15 days." I'm like, "No, it's not. No, it's not."
Yeah, it's over. Like, shit's over, guys. You don't.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what most people didn't understand is like, listen, guys, this wasn't because of a disease. We are in an economic meltdown. Like right now, we're in an economic meltdown. The entire world, because it's on the fiat reserve currency piece of crap dollar, right? Like that we've been screaming about for 50 fucking years. It's like, hey, man, we told you guys this moment was coming, and they're going to sit here and spread this, shit icing all over this shit cake and call it, COVID, and, took away your rights, right? Like, no, this is, you don't get to scapegoat your really disastrous Keynesian financial economic, strategy into a disease that really, ivermectin, vitamin D, some sunlight. Don't be a fucking fat ass. Like I don't know, man. I'm not a goddamn doctor, but I'm telling you right now, like it works. I mean, the physicians that have come out and started prescribing this kind of, I don't know. I see it, and you're just like, all right, so we're in an economic meltdown. We're still in an economic meltdown after a year. That's why they haven't been able to do anything. And they're kind of like, well, how's this thing going to shake out with, the surplus and, I say surplus with all the bailouts going on. And they're talking about another $4 trillion. And you're like,
six.
Oh yeah. I mean, we are going to eclipse that $30 trillion mark real fast. And the Fed, I think Janet Yellen was talking about raising fucking rates.
Yeah.
And you're like, go ahead. Go ahead and raise it. Wait, it's over. Watch it burn. Watch the whole fire pile, man.
In all honesty, I think Yellen's thinking that if she raises rates, it'll help make it, the disaster won't last as long, I think is where her thinking is.
Just rip it off, huh?
Yeah, basically just tear the Band-Aid off. And I'm like, I mean, you know.
Hey, all right, listen, I'll rip it off for him. Go ahead. 20%, 30% interest rates. Watch everybody just run to crypto as fast as possible. Right. Like, and I mean, you know, as much as I do, like, you know, especially, you know, being a veteran, like you get into some situations where you just don't have shit. You're not running to Walmart and Home Depot or any of those other places where you got to deal with some situations where you're at, and to have the mother of invention be necessity. Like we're in a necessity type of moment right now.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah. But
oh yeah.
The cool thing is like you kind of, I mean, most people, I don't think see it, man. It's like you got this giant safety net in blockchain that's, you know, it's young, but at the same time, it exists. And if people got nothing else to do except for, you know, perfect this or lend their ideas and their passion and things like that to it, man, I think it's going to do more for liberty than any individual or anything else for that matter, honestly.
Right, I agree with that. I won't give anyone financial advice, but you know,
I will get the fuck out of the dollar.
Yeah, I own a lot of crypto. Let's go with that. Keeping your money in your savings account's a brain dead move. Like you're gonna be broke as fuck real soon.
That JP Morgan guy that's in charge of your 401k sitting there like, man, you don't want to move. You don't want to move. I need to have a job, right? Like if I lose any more fucking money, I'm out of a job. That's all they're banking on right now.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. But like when this shit started, like in you know, back in March or whatever, when they first started talking about, oh, we're gonna send everyone $1,200, I was like, oh, here we fucking go, man. This roller coaster is about to get going.
Oh yeah.
And then and so my wife, she goes, what should we do with that? And I'm like, well, we're gonna buy chickens and we're gonna buy some pigs. You know?
Yeah.
And she's like, she goes, why? And I'm like, because food prices are going to go fucking bananas eventually. And they are.
Man. And that's the thing is, it's funny you say that, man. I got into like kind of just, I knew roundabouts. I was like, man, this shit is not going to last longer. Right. So like I got out of suburbia. I built a house on the side of a fucking mountain in the middle of nowhere. So you can kind of tell from the lag in my, you know, copper connection where I get like 2 megabytes of fucking upload speed. And yeah, it's like my wife has turned into a chicken, you know, encyclopedia, right? Like we're about to pull the trigger as soon as I get the logs out of the space where the chicken coop needs to go. The wire for the garden is going in. We're about to get everything planted if this rain ever, you know, lets us have a chance. Like right. I've turned into a homesteader and a gardener and putting in food plots for the local game and everything else out here. And like, I love it, man. Like I don't give a.
That's the most brilliant shit you can do. You know what I mean?
Oh man. I mean, it gives you peace of mind. It gives you like, and here's the thing, like chickens are easy. Like there's no downside to chickens. If you've got, 2 chickens per person, you're in food every day, man. And chicken food is cheap. God, I mean, if you can range around your yard and eat insects, you can have eggs. And that's the difference between starving to death and really living pretty good when everybody else is going, oh, I wonder where my next damn meal's coming from.
Yeah, that's what, I've the one thing I've been telling everyone for over a year now is if you have even a small amount of space, you can grow a lot of food in a small amount of space.
Hell yeah.
And vegetables, you can can them and shit. It's real easy.
Tenth of an acre or something like that is all you need, especially with like vertical hydroponic stuff going these days.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
Crazy.
I had my garden spot that I started last year when I got the chickens and the pigs and all that. Of course, it's like, well, we got to have some vegetables and fruit and shit, right? I mean, so we planted, I think like 500 square feet. Dude, I had fucking vegetables coming out of my goddamn ears.
Yeah. Why would there ever be a food shortage in this country? It doesn't make any sense.
Dude, I was talking to Martha Bueno. Are you familiar with her?
Yeah.
Martha's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
She's gonna be on the show pretty soon.
Oh, she's so fucking funny, dude, and so
Yeah.
smart. She'll actually be back on this show on Monday, so everyone want to check that out. But yeah, she was telling me that right across from her hemp farm, there's these fields of tomatoes, and her son goes, "Hey, why are all these tomatoes just ripening on the vine?" And she said, "Well, two reasons. One, there's no one to pick them, and two, the government's paying them to just let them rot." And I'm like, "That's why you have a fucking food shortage." You know what I mean?
Crazy, man. Yeah, I can only eat so many damn tomatoes and drink so many V8s, right? Like, fucking.
But dude, I mean, why are we importing tomatoes from other countries when we've got a whole bunch of people that want to get imported down on the border?
Yeah,
it seems like we got plenty of work for them. I guarantee they'll do it.
It's that all-seeing eye of the murder cult. They know what's best for you. I mean, they know what's best for everybody, right? It's like, oh yeah, we should grow this, number of tons of tomatoes on this many acres in Florida. What? How do you know? You don't know that.
Fucking idiot. Jesus.
I'm having more fun with that, dude. I need this kind of 5:30 show on a daily basis. Just let loose, have a good time, man.
That way when you get into the more serious shit later, then it's all good.
I got it all out of my system.
I did a half-hour show yesterday with Luke Reinhold, and he is the coordinator for Veterans Promise Kept. PTSD ride. They do this cross-country wagon, horse-drawn covered wagon trip to raise awareness for PTSD, and it's like a promise that was made, a foxhole promise that was made in Vietnam between these two buddies. Well, one of them didn't make it back from Vietnam, and so the other one attempted to do it, but now Agent Orange got him all fucked up, so these other guys took over. My older brother being one of those guys that took over the thing, and I did like half an hour with him, and it was, real serious conversation. And I was like, well, that's just how it goes. And then I did a show with Pete Quinones after that.
Brother Pete.
And it was like, oh, I love Pete. He that was a big get for me. I was like, I've been chasing that dude around for months. Like, okay, who do I know that can DM him? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but anyway, and then we did like a 3.5 hour show last night till like 2 o'clock in the morning with Mark Schneider and Magnus Penn Video about nuclear technology and shit, and I'm like, not one of my shows wasn't serious. Damn it.
Well, you know what, man, I think there's a time and a place, and it just, I think there's a feeling sometimes in the day, sometimes like I even go into shows where I'm just like, I'm really, really serious, and it ends up kind of being a funny show. Right. And then there's other days where I go the completely opposite route. It's just, man, this never goes the way I planned it. Just,
That's why I called this show Derailed, because it doesn't matter. Like, it's going to get fucked up. I guarantee it.
Yeah. I think the most important thing as a podcaster out there, right, is go in with energy. One way or another, man. It doesn't matter if it's real fun energy or real serious energy. Go in, just lit up and ready to drop bombs, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially when you see this shit like mainstream media, like, they're fuck, dude. It's scripted, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure you don't watch it on a regular basis anymore.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, but when you turn it on, you're just like, people.
You turn it on, and you're like, what the fuck, man? Bunch of boomers, turn this shit off.
God.
No, man. Like, I mean, there's some TV shows and shit that I'll watch, but it's like on stream. You know what I mean? Like, my mother and father-in-law live with us, and if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't even have cable. Like at all.
Man, yeah, we got rid of it finally. It was out here. It was one of those things where I was like, listen, we're not bringing a dish. We're not bringing any of that kind of shit out here. We were supposed to have fiber optic installed, but Comcast, being a bunch of bastards that they are.
Comcast is communist. No,
I'll tell you what, if you want to go light Comcast up on Twitter for me, go tell them, hey, like, we're supposed to have fiber optic for $2,800 installed out here. And I was like, yeah, done deal. And so I get moved in, and I was bugging them for 3 months, and they said, hey, man, we kind of messed up on our quote. It's going to be $140,000 for fiber. And I was like, get fucked.
Fuck you.
I'll deal with Windstream for a while.
Shit, dude.
Until Starlink gets out here. I
was just about to ask, like, if you had Starlink in your area yet.
I've got it ordered, and as soon as it gets here, man, I've been really kind of holding off.
I think you get up to like 5. megabytes or something.
Oh,
from Starlink.
it's well over 50. And
oh fuck, dude, man, you're gonna like, you'll be like,
I'll
everything
be professional
will work.
then.
Yeah, but that's gonna be dope.
minus the host, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, you can't get everything you want, people.
That's right.
Yeah, dude, I don't think I fucking watch anything that's not podcast. My wife hates it. You know what I mean?
Yeah?
Yeah, she's like, oh God, what are you watching now? And I'm like, leave me alone.
It is funny though, man. It's because, like, I don't know. I mean, you're about my age, right? I mean, I'm 41.
38.
Yeah. And so it's like, you know, you kind of grew up in the world of 24/7 coming into existence.
Right.
It wasn't always that way. I mean, you were changing channels as a kid for your mom and dad, and, you know, get up.
Well, I grew up on a fucking farm, dude.
Yeah, right. Like, there's not a whole lot of stuff going on out there. I mean, the Braves were on, and that's about it sometimes. And you're like, all right, cool. And then, you know,
I grew up on a farm in Utah, so no Braves.
No.
we once in a while get the Utah Jazz game or something, you know?
Yeah. I was going to say, you know, and like 24/7 news came around, and, you know, I kind of got sucked into it as a young man, and it's probably part of the reason why I ran off into the service and all that fun stuff. But, you know, as soon as I was away from 24/7 news, you know, even in the service, and you start to see that what they were, and then this is something that maybe I'm saying out loud for the first time. You know, what you're seeing overseas on the 24/7 news, when you actually get to see it, is a giant departure from the bullshit that's going on the ground, right?
Yeah. But like, holy shit, it's people have no understanding of the difference.
Oh, it's so stark to try to sit there and write a letter, you know, home to your parents or whoever's, you know, writing back and forth with you, right? And it's like, and seriously, we were still doing snail mail back in the day when I was going over, right? And
last tour had email.
Yeah, right. Me too. And I was like, oh, cool. I get 15 minutes. Right. Bam, 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 bam. And so, you know, like, you're trying to tell people, look, man, like, what you guys are seeing on television is complete and utter horseshit compared to what's actually, I mean, like, in the same city, the significant events is way different from what you guys are getting. And I think that was, you know, part of that, you know, that revelation that you know, it's ongoing in country every day, where you're just seeing these little nuances that just, man, make your brain go, oh man, something's fucking wrong, man. Like the algorithm's broken. I don't know what's up.
Did you have that same situation where you come back from your first tour of duty and like everyone's like, fucking Muslims and all this shit, and you're like, dude, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know, it was first time I was the 2003 push from Kuwait into Iraq there, man. And I got to tell you, like, it was fast and it was crazy. I mean, being reconnaissance, right? Like the
tip of the spear, bro.
Well, for a second, right?
Yeah.
And then the divisions were like, we don't need you fucks anymore. We're just going to steamroll. I was like, wow, man, like we're
like, they didn't want to go tactical with that situation. And it was shocking because it's like, why not? Like, you have all of the guys, all the training, all the equipment you need to be as tactical as fucking possible. Like, this doesn't have to be a just carpet bomb shit scenario. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, that's what the U.S. military does, man. The softening that it does it's not softening; it's complete and utter annihilation. You know, when they talk about shock and awe, it's like, so yeah, you know, you see
they fucking mean it.
Yeah, they do. And so, you know, you had a couple interactions, or we had a couple interactions, obviously on the way through, but, you know, it's fighting, and then it's not like peacekeeping, or it's not like the humanitarian side of it at all at that point. And we got you know, retcon, or back to the States here, I should say retrograded back to the States, and we went right into another workup. There was no break. There was like, you go home for a week or two, and then you're coming back. We're not even going into training phase or to school phase this time. We're going straight back into training phase. You're going to do a light side workup and a dark side workup, and then you're pumping right back out. And we're like on a Marine Expeditionary unit, right? Like, where you get to go and like see, you know, a Westpac, right? Like, you're going to go to Hawaii probably twice. You're going to go to Singapore. You're going to go to Thailand. You might go to Seychelles and a whole bunch of really tiny little obscure islands out in the Indian Ocean. And then, you know, maybe a couple stops in Australia. and you're like, man, this is going to be a cool 6 month, like, yeah, right. No, fuck that,
no.
man. It was like
Nope.
month on a ship straight to Iraq, and you never saw
the sandbox, fuckers.
Yeah, never saw that boat again. The Bella Wood, man, they took it back and they sank that ship before we even got home.
Yeah. We I had someone once that I can't fucking remember who it was, but they said like we were in an argument over AR-15s or whatever, and I was like, you don't know shit about guns, so shut the fuck up, you know. And they said, well, you know, you don't need a weapon of war. And I'm like, I, again, reiterate, you don't know shit about guns, you know. And then they said something about, well, your AR-15 is not going to protect you from the U.S. government. And I'm like, we've been fighting people in dresses and sandals for 20 years. Shut up.
Yeah, man. And they're winning.
Yeah.
Like,
the Taliban is now more powerful in Afghanistan than they were when we invaded.
Yeah, so, they literally broke our resolve multiple times. They broke the resolve of every president, including Bush and Obama and Trump. Yep. And I guarantee you, man, they're going to break old Biden and Kamala when she's president.
Kamala might be the one that's like, oh, yeah, now we're going to get them.
Yeah, she is a cop.
Yeah. She does like to target people of color. I'm just saying.
Hey, can we pass a law over there to arrest drug dealers? Because that'd be really good.
They do grow a lot of poppy. I'm just saying.
They sure do. Yeah, but yeah, my opinion changed to those. I mean, the second time around, I actually got to live with them, attached to ODA team down in Najaf. Man, you get to see a completely different side, and you're like, oh, you know what? They're human. Like this guy's got a kid or had kids, you know, like you start finding out those stories and you're breaking bread with these guys, you know, that are locals that are really good, dude. A lot of them even, you know, from up north, like the Kurdish guys, right? And you're like, oh man, to have those revelations at a dinner table with dudes that are just laying down life experience to you that are, you know, like I was 24, 25 the second time I went back, and you know, like I was kind of an older guy, and these guys are like in their early 40s, right? And they're specimens, right? Like they are hardened, right. They are smart, they are super. I mean, just worlds of experience in terrible situations, and they've seen
way more shit than people understand.
Then way more than we did. I mean, to live through an entire almost a genocide, you know, up there between the Kurds in the north that straddle all of the borders up there. It's just like, man, we're fucked up. Like, what are we doing, right? Like, crazy time, man, for sure. Yeah,
for sure, man. And I don't know what it's gonna take. Maybe a Dave Smith or Justin Amash or someone, you know, gotta get that big boy job and go, no, motherfuckers, you work for me. Now get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think I'm also waiting on people who are your majors and down, and your guys who are enlisted, like senior enlisted guys that have been doing this kind of stuff for.
Lost your video, bro.
It's the fact that I still have a camera that I have to turn on every 30 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah, gangster. The whole thing, man, it's just like, where are they? Because I mean, at this point, the generals know, right? Like the generals, the colonels, the light colonels, all these guys know what they're doing is horse shit. Especially after 20 years, they know it's horse shit. So they know better than the politicians who they are supposedly taking orders from. And you're like, well, you know, if we are under that understanding, you got to understand that these colonels and generals are more corrupt and more bloodthirsty than anybody, even in the in Congress. Like that's.
Well, I'm convinced that a lot of it comes down to. Well, it always comes down to money. Let's be honest. And they want to, get their big fat retirement and then get that big paycheck from Honeywell and Raytheon and all those fucking companies. One of the things that I laughed about today. I don't know if you caught Dave Smith's show, Part of the Problem.
Usually do, man. Big fan of his.
Yeah. Well, he had a show put out YouTube today, and I caught it. And one of the things that was hilarious and we're going to shift gears just a little here, but
yeah,
they were talking about COVID passports, right?
oh, fuck that.
And a whole bunch of libertarians are like, well, I mean, if it's a private company, and I mean, the best answer I've heard, and it was fucking brilliant, was, oh, okay, so Blackwater can torture fucking people, but because it's a private company, it's not the government. That's fine. Yeah. It's like, shut the fuck up. This is not a no. You know, I'm all about free market and private companies. Unfortunately, that's not what we have.
Yeah,
it just doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know how many people are willing to admit this, but America's a fascist country right now. Like we're fascist, right? Like
100%.
When you have the unpersoning and the canceling of, you know, people and voices and platforms and huge audiences, right, by a government murder cabal, right? Like it is banking, it's the technocrats, it's the military industrial complex, it's the different industries and pharma and everything else out there, and it's the government plus the bureaucracy. Like it's all what the anti-federalists called the aristocratic combination, right? Like when you have all these guys working in concert right now because of the economic meltdown, I mean, you're living in a fascist society. The problem comes in where these giant corporations that have been given basically a monopoly on travel, right? Especially air travel out there, right. When they can continuously get bailed out and have all these, you know, loopholes where people who would do a startup type of company where, you know, you fly a plane or, you know, fly whatever mode of transportation it is, where they control that. That's the obviously, you know, what we cannot tolerate even as libertarians. That's not a private company. That is a government backed company now. And we got to stop speaking their language, because their language is a fucking lie. Like everything they say, sure. I mean, down to the syllables sometimes in these words that they use, you're just like, no.
Like, you know, it surprises me that people like just common sense, right? Like just basic. I mean, it's called that. It's pretty uncommon, but I don't understand, like, when, you know, you got the left now screaming like, oh, these are private companies. And I'm like, no, they're not, dude. No, they're fucking not. Like, I hate that shit. And I hate that argument. And I hate that argument from the Libertarian Party, because I'm with you. This is a fascistic country. Don't take it from us. Take it from Mussolini. You know what I mean? Although he said we shouldn't call it fascism, we should call it corporatism. Yeah. But you know, same shit. No,
and the thing is that's the thing is, you know, I like to dumb things down. I'm a crayon eater, right? Like I really try to make things as simple as fucking possible for myself mostly, right? So it's like,
well, it's a good way. That low hanging fruit of intellect as well.
Yeah, right. So it's like, just put it on that spectrum that nobody talks about. And I'm not talking about the quad chart. Are you center, right, left? Fuck no. Fucking binary almost. Like, are you tyrannical or are you for liberty? Right. Okay. Yeah. Democrats, Republicans, some libertarians, the Green Party, and anybody who wants to control your life and in your morality, if you're not hurting anybody and taking your stuff, you're a tyrant. I don't give a shit. Yeah, I don't. Tyrant, despot, follower, murder cult, aristocratic combination. That you're all of those things. Now, down on the other end, can you be that person that is going, yeah, man, I really don't need any of this kind of shit. Are you self-reliant like chickens? Do you have, you know, wild game? Can you do shit without these guys making other people do shit for you? If you can't, you're part of the problem, man. Like that's definitely what it is.
100% agree with that. One of the things that I'm quite surprised and somewhat happy about this last year, there were some silver linings to these fucking idiots. One of it was a whole bunch of people got to understand that the cops don't work for them. You know what I mean? A lot of these thin blue line people are like, oh, fuck. Wait, what's happening now? It's like they're Praetorian Guard. They don't work for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're protecting the suits.
Yes, exactly. So, like, yeah, you just want to run your business, perfectly normal behavior. No. So you got a lot of people that are like, oh, fuck the cops. Never mind. Like, you know, one of my favorite ones that I saw is Tim Pool. Has a huge, massive audience, you know. And, you know, and I agree with him. Fucking everyone that watches this, if you live in a major city, get the fuck out of it as fast as possible. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Sell all your shit and start over. I ain't even playing.
It's not worth it.
But he's out there now like, defund the police. I don't care. Fuck, do it. And I'm like, nice. Plus he went ham on the Second Amendment, and he's like, no, I should be able to own a nuclear weapon if I want one. And I'm like, you're right. Welcome, welcome to Team Liberty. You know what I mean?
Let's play it through, right? Like, and this is the part that everybody gets like, oh, what about the fucking nukes, Shane? What about the nukes? Well, I mean, look what happened over in Russia, man. They fell apart. Man, I love you too, man. You guys are awesome. Appreciate it. We didn't explode the world. We didn't have nuclear holocaust. We didn't have any of that kind of shit. Some people sold some stuff, and some stuff went, defunct and everything else. But here's the deal: is like, just because you can own a nuke or an automatic weapon or a suppressor or a bump stock or any other, armament, right? It doesn't mean you have, first and foremost, the money to buy one. Because there's the market working. It doesn't mean that the people who are in that market will ever fucking sell you those things. That they think
one would hope they wouldn't.
Right. And like, I mean, I just got to think that, the arms dealers that I know now are pretty fucking responsible guys, right? Like for the most part, guys and girls for that matter. And they're not like, oh man, if that guy comes in and he's tweaked out of his mind and he's got some, shit he's pulling out, it's like, hey man, I don't need the money that bad, right? No, fuck that. And so you got those two limiting factors from the free market, and then on top of you've got this, in the wherewithal and the know-how to use one of these things outside of like a firearm, right? Like most people don't understand firearms. They don't understand what a firing pin is or a bolt.
That's why they use stupid ass terms like clips.
And
you don't need a 30-round clip, and I'm like,
high capacity.
I don't own that kind of gun. I don't know what you're talking about.
So you're talking about a skill set to not only operate this thing, run it, buy it, but then employ it in a very
100% agree with that.
Very, life-threatening situation. Because let's face it, there's 500 million guns in America that we talk about, right?
Yes,
like
that we talk about.
That's it. It's like, go ahead and pull out a belt-fed weapon in the middle of Times Square, and I guarantee you're gonna get your ass shot by somebody who's still carrying illegally. Like that's how, like I don't know.
You know what's hilarious to me is people are, and I think this is a lot of big city type people or whatever are terrified of guns, whatever. And they're like, oh, someone's gonna come in and shoot up my shit or whatever. And I'm like, okay, first of all, that actually doesn't happen nearly as much as you think it does. It's just when it does, the media is like, look, blood, and so they go ham on it. These people do not understand how many guns are around them all day long.
Well, I mean, think about it. If we got 300 plus million people here, I don't know, 320, 350, whatever the fuck they know, I don't care. The 500 million guns that we talk about, plus probably the 500 million guns that we don't talk about, man, you are surrounded all the time.
Oh yeah.
And guess what? Those 100 plus million guns, plus munitions, plus, I don't know, probably grenades and mortars, like they don't kill anybody every fucking day. They never kill anybody. It's just, I don't know, man.
Like, I mean, I think you should be able to absolutely have grenades and shit. I wouldn't recommend them for like home defense because
don't keep them around the baby, right?
I don't think your insurance is going to pay for it if you throw a fucking grenade at someone breaking in. They're going to be like, I don't know, man.
And that's another thing is private insurance. If you get the state out of insurance too, it's like, hey man, maybe there is a market for people who have grenades. Maybe there is a market for this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and who knows what that looks like? I mean, maybe it's even better.
Well, I actually just recently found, and I'm going to share this because I know you'll think it's awesome. I found a spot where I can buy a fucking Gatling gun.
Yeah.
And because it was made actually before the NFA, I don't need shit, dude. I can just buy it.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I'm going to.
Nice.
It's going to happen.
I good luck finding ammunition. I wish it.
I'll make that shit. I don't care.
You reload?
Oh yeah, dude. Fuck yeah.
That's awesome. That's one thing I never got into yet, man. I have buddies.
The biggest problem with reloading is it's getting all your taps, dies, everything that you need. It's expensive. You know what I mean? And so that's what a lot of people run into in the reloading world is that it's expensive And then anytime there's an ammo shortage, there's also a powder shortage.
Right. Your primers and everything else out there, right? Like, I mean, it's I hear it, like, I've got two really good buddies that are both reloaders, and, you know, I can get all the ammo I guess I probably need from them prior to.
That is a ridiculous statement you should never make again. All you need. That's like, oh, I have too much money. No, you don't.
Yeah, right. Like, I got too much. It's more the CEO of the house that says that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, I'm well trained. But yeah, man. Like, I wanted to get into it, but it was just one of those extra things. I was like, man, I don't have time right now to do everything I want to do, and reloading is just never going to happen.
Well, you should start buying the stuff now, because the price is just going to go up and up and up and up, and eventually ammo's going to be money.
Yeah. Oh, here's a fun fact for you and the crowd out there. Do you know where the word round came from?
I do not know.
It was actually a term of exchange, right? So back in the day, people would go up and they would set a bullet on the bar, and they would pay for a shot of whiskey with it. Just one round. Here's a round. Here, bam. And so it obviously has been used as currency in the past.
That's badass. And you know, it's one of the things, like, I will say this. We were talking crypto earlier, and I still say, I won't give anyone financial advice. I own a lot of crypto. But if a absolute disaster happens and we're talking total collapse, that shit ain't gonna matter. That's why I say get some chickens, get some stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because
lots of lead.
You know, yeah, lots of lead. If you can afford the taps and dies and all that shit, get it so you can reload. Because what it really comes down to is someone can roll up on me if there ain't no food and shit's falling apart, and they're like, I have this Bitcoin, and I'll be like, that's fantastic. I don't need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, do you have some coffee beans? Here's some eggs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly right. No, and you're not wrong at all. And anybody who ever asked me about like agorism, I was like, dude, fuck gold, man. You know, lead and silver is where it's at. You can pull out a gold piece, and you're likely to get, you know, dead real quick. Somebody's just gonna be like, oh man, that looks like I can pay for a lot of stuff, right? And bam, then you're toast.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I haven't changed for an ounce of gold, man.
I had a friend ask. He tweeted something out today. He's from Canada, and he's like, he's hardcore, and he sold his fucking house to buy Bitcoin and moved back in with his parents. Not even kidding. That's how ham he went on it. But
that's awesome.
I mean, more power to him. Great, you know what I mean? But he put out this photo of like someone holding a silver dollar, right? And asked, "Is this just shitcoin?" And I'm like, "No, man, that's legit silver. Like, that's, you could melt that shit down and kill a vampire. It's important."
Yeah, exactly right.
Or not a vampire, werewolf, whatever.
Yeah, it goes back. There's an awesome meme that floats around out there once in a while. I think it's like 5 silver quarters, you know, back in the late 60s was worth, you know, obviously $1.25, and the melt value of that today is $25, right? And you're sitting there going like, yeah, well, we got a money problem. We don't have we don't have a minimum wage problem. We got a money problem, people.
Yeah, I love how the fucking the Treasury Department put out that the inflation rate's 1.7% or something. Yeah. And I'm like, you can't use the interest rate as the inflation rate, you dickbags. Like, last year, my father-in-law and I built a giant cedar, like rough cut cedar pergola on the back patio. Nice. It's like, I think it's 20 feet by, I don't know, 12, 14 feet, something like that.
What time of year did you start?
March.
Okay.
So, or no, we started in April. Well, it only took us 3 days to put it together.
Okay.
But you know, we bought it, we cut everything, we did it all ourselves or whatever. And I don't know the exact price, but it was probably close to about $5,000 all in to build it, you know. I think that actually includes all the redwood furniture. I'm pretty sure. But I look at lumber prices now and I'm like, well, shit, dude, we could just sell this thing. We'd be rich as fuck.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, we built this house. I mean, we got all the material right before the lumber went through the roof. I mean, we're sitting.
Oh, lucky bastards.
Oh my God, man. I mean, seriously, by the skin of our teeth, got that stuff done. And they, you know, what's funny is like, they didn't get the deck done to begin with. And I was like, get it done. And he's like, we're just going to wait for lumber prices to come back down. And I was like, well, do you think they're going to come back down? He's like, yeah. And it's like, no, they're not, man.
No.
That's like,
Finish that.
I'll make you this bet. I'll make you the bet that if they don't come back down, you pay the fucking difference because right? Like I did. And so anyway, I've got some extra lumber laying around in my basement right now that's going to go in the attic storage up here, stack of OSB as high as my waist. And I was like, man, if times get really bad, we can sell that kind of stuff.
Bitcoin.
I'd be rich, motherfuckers.
I'll trade you this OSB for some Bitcoins. I'm sure someone would probably take that trade.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
man.
dude, I had to go get hog food, go get some corn the other day. And I'm driving through town and this trailer passes me and he's got like 3 fucking stacks of OSB on his trailer. And I'm like, oh shit, I should follow him and rob him. I'll be loaded.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going to rob someone, but
Can I ask you a question about your hogs, man?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. First of all, like, how many do you have, and do you have a breeding pair?
No. We just have 3. We got 3 piglets, and so we're looking to get a sow, and then I wouldn't actually buy a breeding pair because you wind up with the same. It's better to just switch out, like you take your sow and you just pay someone to use their boar or whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And that way you're not getting any weird intermingling of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just have 3 right now. There's 2 of them one's about 350 pounds. The other's probably just over 300. Yeah. And then I've got one that's probably running like 2 and a quarter, something like that. So
I mean, they're getting beyond the size where most people will eat them, right? Like, I mean,
they're going to the ovens soon.
Oh, they are.
Yeah. So they'll go to the death camps very soon. And then we're gonna actually I'd like to get a sow and raise her up. But a good sow is going to be 500-600 pounds in a couple of years. You know what I mean?
I mean, they grow extremry quick. I mean, down here in Georgia, it's open season all year long out here. And so, like, when we go out, and hog hunt, really, 70, maybe 80 pounds, depending on how clean they look, is where we kind of cut off for, taking them back to process. Otherwise, we just kind of leave them to the coyotes and everything that are out there. So,
right.
We kind of had to.
Well, these aren't feral hog. These
right.
are actual legit farm hog. The great thing. So they're just over a year old now. And when I got them, they were 20 pounds, maybe 25 pounds. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So they put on that weight in a year. That's something. But you also have to understand when they do get slaughtered and cut up, with hog, you only get about a 50-50 return. So if you take in a 300 pounder, you're going to get about 150 pound back. You know what I mean?
Wow. So, I mean, your shoulders, pork butt, your ribs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but mine are only fed corn. You just ferment corn. You know what I mean? And, it's crazy to me because people are like, oh, it's too expensive or whatever. And I'm like, you have no idea. Like, the amount of money that you're paying, especially now as prices have started to increase.
I mean, it's $10 for a pack of good bacon, man. Like, that's what does that weigh? Like, maybe 3/4 of a pound at most.
I'm bacon rich. I have about 40 pounds of bacon in my house.
That is rich, man. I'll tell you what, it's one of my favorite fucking foods.
Well, it's because it's meat candy. Let's be honest, man.
Yeah, it's so good, man. I
tried turkey bacon for the first time.
Yeah. And
the last time.
Yeah. What's that old joke? Once. Oh man, no. Do you do a lot of smoking as well, and for your pigs? Yeah. What's your favorite cut of meat?
For smoking, it's definitely pork butt or pork shoulder.
Pork butt.
That's the best cut to just smoke. I mean, you can do so much with it, especially pulled pork sandwiches.
What's your cook time recipe? Like, are you kind of like a 4 hours, then smoke it, cover it for another 4 hours, let it kind of really fall off?
It depends on the cut. If I'm going to do a pork shoulder, what I like to do is I like to run it right about 190 degrees for about 6 hours.
Yeah,
just get a good crust. And then I like to increase my, get that temperature up to about like 240, 250 or whatever. But I'll wrap it in aluminum foil and I'll inject it with apple juice. And then I'll just let it go for like 20 hours, man.
Man, I'll tell you what, I would love to have a Liberty barbecue cook-off, man. Like one of my favorite damn things to do is just go out there on a weekend and light that, I've got a Big Green Egg, which is kind of a local thing down here, but
I have an old oil barrel.
Yeah, you just go and light that thing up and you get that, like that smoke right before you start putting everything on, man. Oh man.
Yeah.
In a spring, it just makes the whole damn day right from the very get-go.
For sure, man. I love smoking brisket, but brisket's that's like a 24-hour run,
Do you nail it every time? Do you got it down?
Yeah, well, yeah, to the most part. The last one I had, for whatever, I forgot to trim the fat off the top, and so I got like a pretty crunchy, it wasn't too that much. One kind of went up. Yeah. But yeah, no, I can nail it pretty good. My absolute favorite thing to smoke, though, is turkey.
Yeah. Really?
Oh man, oh dude, oh yeah. You just cut that backbone out so it lays down flat.
Sure.
And smoke that thing up to about 180 degrees, dude. Ooh, magnifique.
I'm getting hungry, man. Yeah, my wife doesn't like smoked poultry, so I rarely do it. The brisket and the short ribs and everything else, it's just baby backs. I love all that kind of stuff. I'll tell you, I haven't quite mastered brisket just because it's time consuming and all that kind of stuff. But I always buy like a backup meal.
You should divorce her. Just kidding.
No, way too much work went into this one. I can't do this shit again. She's great.
I'm just messing with you.
I'm finally trained.
So you mean she put in the work?
Oh, I'll tell you what, man. It was both of us. I think that's the only way. I think that's the only way it lasts. Is there's a shit ton of work that nobody tells. I mean, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, marriage is a lot of work." I'm like, no, man. Marriage, a good marriage is nothing but work. There are good times all the time, but it's one of those things where if you kind of try to see that better side of whoever it is that your spouse is and just kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. I was not good at that as a young man. I was just like, she hates me.
None of us were, dude. None of us. We're all like, oh yeah, this. We're getting closer to our hour, and I do have this video that I like to run through my shows right now.
Sure.
And this is for the Veterans Promise Cap that I was telling you about. It'll show the website. Anyone watching this, you can be anti-war and still, care about the veterans. Make sure that you do. Go help these guys out. So we're going to run this real quick, Shane, and then we will wrap things up.
Cool.
Work for you, bud?
Yeah, man.
Right on. We back. Right on, brother. So what else? What do you got going on? I've got your radicalpod.com down there. I don't know if your Patreon wouldn't connect.
Yeah, I got to secure my site, man. I'm not an IT guy. If you have crayon eater, right? I'm a one-man show, so I pull it all off, and it's some of it's lacking, but the help's on the way. Patreon.com/radicalpod is where people can find the show and contribute. If you want to actually listen to the show first, we're on all the podcatchers out there, so
might be helpful.
Yeah, man. And honestly, I'm gonna fund this governor run through the show. I'm not going I think I struck a real chord down here last year when I didn't take donations for the Senate run and told everybody, hey man, put this towards your local communities and everything like that. Now, if you want to help a guy go full time into Liberty so that he can make a run like this and make a convincing run and really take it to the status, it's one of those things where we've got to make this something, that is self-sustaining, and I can spend money, getting out there and going to places and taking this broadcast and everything else even further than what we're doing. And I think it's, for what it is, I mean, I think the ROI is the best ROI there is. And I mean, on top of it, you get the added benefit of being able to bring other people up. It's like you find other great podcasts and you go, hey, in your area, you got amazing people doing this. And you may not have heard of them because, the local murder cult for MRH down there, he said he hasn't heard me say it yet. I've only said it about 15 times already in the show.
Yeah, he got in late though, so.
Oh, it's all good. I'm just giving it a hard time. But yeah, it's man, I'm all about it. And that's the thing is, having just even tiny bit of notoriety now, it's like, how do I bring other people into this? How do I bring, different voices from left, right, all these people that are just disaffected with the whole fucking thing. And then these guys that are in front of it, right? It's like, we've got some really good guys in our age, and then a lot of younger guys that are coming into this space. And you're like, all right, brother, let me have your questions. What do you need help with? Like, how do I give you that shortcut, right? Or life hack into podcasting, into public speaking, into, advertisement, you name it. It's like, how do we do this better and help you be a better generation at this? That's what it's all about now.
Right. And that's badass. I think, I've been asked by a couple people, why don't you run and run for office in your area? And I'm like, yeah, I'm more of a puppet master.
Yeah. And that's cool too, right? It's like, do you see a path, right? Do you see a path to take action? If you see that path, don't let anybody tell you that that's not a good path. Like, cool, man. Right. You don't like what I'm doing? Go do Liberty that way over there. I don't give a shit. Just do something.
Yeah, as long as you're doing something that extends freedom to more people, I don't care what it is. I don't care how you go about it. I'm all about it. I don't care what message you need to use to get it done. I'm game. One of the things that I'm more focused on, or I'm turning my focus on, is like nuclear power, obviously, because I mean, if people want to talk to me about climate change and all this nonsense, fine. But let's not ignore the unicorn in the room that can solve this issue relatively quickly. You know what I mean? But also is that I'm not, I love Dave Smith. I think he's a great dude. I like Justin Amash. There's some things that I'm a little irritated about. But
me too.
Look,
me too, man.
If they're going to bring more freedom, they want to run for president, get that message out there. They got, it doesn't matter who it is. They got my support. I'll get their back, whatever. But I'm more focused on sheriffs and district attorneys.
Amen.
Because if you control the fucking force of the state has no power.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Hey guys, tired of getting shot at? Tired of people looking out of their eyes, sideways at you? Like, I hate that motherfucker over there. Like, I don't even know who he is, but he's wearing that stupid uniform and that stupid badge. And he's got those stupid blue lights and the blacked out murder cars. And you're like, fuck those guys, right? Like, okay, we'll take him over. Go run for sheriff, man. You're that sheriff, man. I don't give a damn what anybody says. We're a post-constitutional United States right now. There's no rules anymore. It's what can you get away with? I'll tell you right now. Right. We got dictators now. You better try to find some benevolent dictators that care about your rights and about your property and about your lives, and at least want to extend those natural rights to everybody who will absolutely, you know, with that BDE, as we say in the biz, right? Like go out there and tell these guys, here's the line in the sand, get fucked. Come on.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Like, and I think that's the easiest way to do it. Like it sounds kind of like an oxymoron that you have to take over the system to get rid of the system, but you do. There's no other fucking option. You know what I mean?
There's not.
I mean, although the system's doing everything it can to just destroy itself, so that's actually fun. It's not funny because a lot of people are going to get really hurt in the process, you know. But I mean,
told you so. Right, like I
been telling you for 50 years this shit was going to happen.
And here's the thing: we did want to be right. We told you guys we don't want to be right on this. I hate being right about these things, right? But here's the thing: is as students of actual truth and history and principle and being consistent in all of these things, it's like, guys, like we're not soothsayers, we're not seers, right? Like we know history, and you guys have. Right. You're repeating verbatim, only worse because of technology, what everybody's already done. It's crazy.
I just had Jessica Green on the show a few days ago, and I mean, you know, because it obviously had to come up, we had to talk about the French Revolution and the Bolshevik. I mean, because why not? But it really comes down to like history's fucking repeating itself in America.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Balkanization all over the place here, right? I mean,
and it's like, how do we want that to end? You know what I mean? Do we want a peaceful resolution, which I would prefer, obviously? And I think that's very easy. You'll hear all these people, especially on the right, it'll go, oh, well, you know, we'll just have a civil war and then the left will be gone. And I'm like, that's not how it works, first and foremost. Plus, they control all the culture, so you're an idiot. And second, you don't want war. People that have been to war will make it more than clear to you, you don't want that. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, man. I had some kid the other day. I was actually following him. I had a kid. I don't know. He had some, you know, stupid icon with a mask on his face and blacked out like silhouette talking about going kinetic. And we don't have, I'm like, dude, we got all sorts of options right now. Like just let the whole thing fall apart. They don't know what to do. Yeah. They don't know what to do with peaceful people. They have no idea because, like, if you go out and start fucking around with peaceful people, what happens? Like, cities burn to the ground. And I'm not saying I'm all for, like, you know, the group BLM or Antifa going out and destroying private property. But I also, you know, have reached into my empathy jar.
I'm perfectly okay with them destroying government property.
Yeah. Oh, by far. Yeah. Please do.
Go for it. I don't care.
Send the message, right? Like those fucks need to be worried that their lives are on the line, and in a really no kidding kind of way. If you continue to carry out war crimes against peaceful people, the blowback's coming, man. Like we're not saying like
violence begets violence, and it always has. Right.
It always has, and you destroy people's psyche, and you detain people who are peaceful people over generations. The societal decay that comes from that is irreversible. Like the only thing you can do is have a vacuum and a void where people say, "Man, I'd really rather not go down this road any further. Like this is where this whole bad thing has to end. It's right here." And
right.
We'll see, man.
Final question, man. We're coming up on our hour here. So final question. Are we already in a civil war?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been a cold civil war for a long time, right? Like, I mean, you've had, you know, the state running all the pre-warfare, the PSYOPs and everything else for a long, long time. They've really ratcheted it up this past year. But yeah, long answer short, I guess, yeah. I mean, we've been in a civil war for a long time. And I think what's happening now is we're at that pivotal moment of do people stay mostly peaceful or do we go kinetic and, you know, see who's left standing? And I'll tell you what, man, I think
I gotta say, I hope that's not the way it goes.
Well, you know, I try to be very, very optimistic. And I try to weigh things in and out. And you've got so many good people who served, who see this. You've got a war-weary nation. Like most of the nation, I think over 80% is just like, man, we shouldn't be doing that overseas. We definitely
Which should tell you right there, your leaders don't work for you people.
That's right. And so I think pushing this country into war, I mean, you've seen what it's done. Like, we're actually coming out right now, like, thank God for Texas and Florida, saying enough is a fucking enough and we're done. And to see that without the consequences of hot warfare or anything like that is just, I think we're gaining ground, man. I think the tide is shifting a little bit. And if that's what it's going to take to go back peacefully and these guys go out with a whimper instead of a wail, like, cool, let's just keep on going, man. Just stay as peaceful as possible.
Oh, yeah.
And the patience of the American people to this point, I'll tell you what, I don't think they're pacifists. I know I'm not. And it's just to the point where they're like, hey man, we still got options. We're good. Thank God.
I'm no pacifist. I would always option for the most peaceful resolution.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say that I'm just gonna roll over and take it either. You know what I mean? Because fuck that. But I flip a coin 50-50. Who secedes first, Florida or Texas?
Fucking Texas, for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree with that.
Yeah. Texas, and Texas secedes and Florida gets kicked out, right? That's it.
Yeah, they're gonna like sell Florida to Cuba or something.
Yeah.
Whatever. Right on, man. Well,
hey, thanks for giving me the platform. You got to come do my show next, man. That's just the way this is going to work. So I'm rolling everybody that I do. I'm saying, hey, let's go. This is an easy way to do this kind of stuff. So, hey, I really appreciate the platform, and it's so cool to meet everybody from around the country that's really pushing in this fight, man. So, thank you so much.
Well, more and more people need to get out there and start pushing. And so definitely go follow Shane. I've got his stuff down in the description below, his podcast, which is hilarious sometimes and other times very serious, and it'll make you all, dusty eyeballed. And then follow him on Twitter. Sometimes he posts some pretty funny crap and it'll make you laugh. Peace, people.